What are some of the environment issues that came up, that you observed, that you saw in the community?
People were drawing water from the same source in which cows were fed.
A borehole in the rural community there in Blega village that was actually shared by the school and the community. So it had got spoiled, and it was like a dumping site for the community because it was neglected.
What kind of knowledge and skills or experience did you use to be able to reach to intervene in some of the things that you did?
We dug manure pits around their homes.
We targeted initiatives like planting trees in the community.
And we planted over 300 trees.
It is not that our communities don't have the things, but they have them, but they lack just to know.
If we plant trees and communities don't know the reason as to why we are planting trees, still tomorrow they won't be there.
Welcome to Conversations with CorpsAfrica Volunteers. My name is Sylvia Nalovega. CorpsAfrica works with young Africans by recruiting them and training them. Thereby, they are sent into rural communities where they lead community initiatives. Today with me are two of the volunteers that have gone through the CorpsAfrica program. They are alumni, and this is CorpsAfrica Uganda. We are going to be discussing issues around cleanup, environment. We are going to really see the contribution of young people to ensuring a clean environment. Welcome our guests with me. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Sylvia. I am happy and delighted to be here with you. My name is Magome Muzamil, a former CorpsAfrica Ugandan volunteer. I served in Blega village in Bikwe district. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yes, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. This is Chibuka Brian, a former volunteer with CorpsAfrica Uganda. I served in the Antonde district, and as well I served in Malawi.
Wow, welcome back from Malawi.
Thank you.
Yes, so like I said, we are talking about environment issues that need to have a clean environment. As we celebrate the World Cleanup Day, we want to hear what the CorpsAfrica volunteers are doing to ensure a clean environment. So we want to know, what are some of the environment issues in your communities? You can share the ones both in Uganda and Kenya, where you are, and Malawi. What are some of the environment issues that came up, that you observed, that you saw in the community that, needed to be addressed?
Okay, first and foremost, in Uganda, it has been a little bit interesting because when you look at the Ugandan communities, in the rural communities, they have what they call Obulungi Bwansi. This is actually like an initiative that we find in a community that is started up by households, whereby they come on a specific date, they come, they gather, they clean the environment. But for my case, when I was in Buyikwe, this initiative had actually stopped. So when I went in the community, we had a borehole in the rural community there in Blega village that was actually shared by the school and the community. So it had got spoiled, and it was like a dumping site for the community because it was neglected. But when I intervened, because I was moving around the community as a part of integration, so I notified this and I talked to the local leaders within the community. So after talking to them, they said that this is something that we have not even given attention to. So I had to organize with the leaders and the Nyumba Kumi people in the community, whereby we started to call for meetings about the borehole cleanup. So to my surprise, at the first time, no one showed up because I think the community had no interest in that borehole. So people never showed up. It was me alone on the first day to clean up.
I can imagine.
So it was like quite a depressing moment, but I had to push on the initiative. So, but I was joined by a few of the youth in the community that came up in the next calling.
Interesting.
Because I went through the leadership and I met one of the youth leaders. Then after meeting them, they were actually like, we can sacrifice our time and come. So when I engaged with them, they actually came up during the second week when I had to call, because it was like more of sensitizing them, because it was a neglected place and people needed to have clean water. So we had to come in with the youth and clean that place. Up to now, actually, I remember when I was leaving the community during my service, it was something that the community was happy to see that the borehole that was not function, it was functioning because of the initiative of cleaning it. Then we actually had to also set up a committee that follows up regular cleaning up of this borehole, which is done after 2 weeks.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Brian, share with us your experience, because after that, I want to know how has CorpsAfrica contributed to your capacity in doing this? So, Brian, share with us some of the examples that, some of the issues that were faced in your community in the environment. You can share both experiences in Uganda and Malawi.
Well, actually, I'm so much happy to discuss this topic because, environment is the core of our survivals as human beings.
Yeah.
So without environment, we cannot exist. However, in communities where I've served, there have been so many challenges.
Can you share with us what communities those are, the names?
In Uganda, I served in the Antonde district, as I said, specifically in Chinoni A and Chinoni C villages.
Okay.
In Malawi, I served in Dowa district. Yes, Nyundo community.
Is that Western, Eastern?
That's Central Malawi.
Okay.
Yeah. Among the challenges that I found within the communities, one was lack of clean water, especially this side of the Antonde. People were drawing water from the same source in which cows were fed, and also the wells that were in the community were not well dug. They didn't look nice, clean, and as well the access roads to them weren't slashed. So it was like you're using a 1-foot step road.
A small path.
Yes, to go to somewhere so bushy still, but you're going to draw water for domestic use. Another challenge I found in the community was deforestation, especially in Malawi. This is a place where trees have been cut on a large scale, and currently, actually, due to a crisis of trees, you find that even the community can't have enough energy to use.
No.
Yeah. For example, often they grow maize. That's their staple food. And they do always carry it with the maize stalks as well as the maize cobs. So those two are used now as the sources of energy for cooking. Yeah. So you find that deforestation has, on a large scale, impacted the community. Actually, it has even resulted into the change of the weather patterns within that community. Another challenge I found, because my communities were both agriculturalist communities, so there was a challenge of soil erosion. And this comes still as a result of deforestation plus other factors. But yeah, on a large scale, whenever it rained heavily, crops were always washed away. Yeah, I think also another very big challenge actually I found was the poor management of waste. There wasn't a proper system of discriminating between the synthetic and this the decomposable matter. So those were, I think, the
So
main
are they
challenges.
also in were they in both the Antonde and Malawi, those villages you talked about?
Yeah, actually, waste discrimination, I think, is both within Malawi and Uganda, whereby you see here in Africa, we use a lot of paper bags, this polythene. So you realize that communities are not so aware of how dangerous these plastic materials are to the soil. So they just dispose them off anywhere, anyhow, and yeah, you find that the environment is affected.
Yes, so that is why today we are talking about the World Cleanup Day. to have a clean environment, because it is everyone's responsibility to ensure that the environment is preserved. So, but we are very much interested in seeing how young people like you are contributing to a clean environment, and how did your participation in CorpsAfrica activities, what kind of knowledge and skills or experience did you use to be able to reach to intervene in some of the things that you did?
Okay, yeah. For my case, we would actually talk about CorpsAfrica Green Initiative, because it is actually an initiative that is within CorpsAfrica that targets the environment. In CorpsAfrica Green Initiatives, we targeted initiatives like planting trees in the community, whereby we set up tree nurseries, but we were targeting the indigenous trees and also fruit trees, because as a community member is able to plant this fruit tree, is getting a fruit and also protecting the environment as well.
Absolutely.
So these were like things that we did with the community members, involving them being the center of where we are starting to get the seeds themselves, because the seeds were getting from the community, but just to have a large scale production of these trees, we need to come together as a community so that we can get a bigger production, so that we can supply. I remember last time when I was leaving Uganda to go for Kenya as an exchange volunteer, my community members sent me pictures when they were actually distributing the trees, fruit trees, to the schools.
So we see you, the young people, then engaging the community engaging the school children.
Yeah. Because with CorpsAfrica, it is the community being at the center. That's why, like everything, it is an initiative where the community is leading. So my work as a CorpsAfrica volunteer was just to facilitate this community to see, okay, we can have a tree nursery here. So after having it, then what next? We can spread these trees to nearby communities. I remember even they had to take them to the local district, which is in Naja. To my surprise, that they had to plant it in the compound of the district headquarters.
Wow,
So that was so nice, and I really was happy about that, because I saw the fruits of my nursery bed that was done in the community spreading to the nearby communities. Yeah, and also there's a time we had a general cleanup with local people to clean the trading centers, because as you see in these villages where we serve, there are these local trading centers that are within,
those
but
small markets.
but we had to organize cleanup. I remember one of my host mother could.
So maybe let me stop a bit there.
Yeah.
So a host mother is so when CorpsAfrica volunteers are sent in the communities, they are given families that host them. So he's talking about the lady who hosted him when he was sent out in the community in Boyukwe.
Yeah, so my host mother was known for hygiene. And that's another thing that stood out for me during the recruitment of cleanups in the community, because every time the community saw me with that lady, they just knew that cleaning up with kindness. It was a good story for me and my host mother, because she helped me a lot in spreading a message of hygiene in the community.
And a clean environment.
Yes.
Absolutely. Wow, well done. So, Brian, share with us, how did your experience with CorpsAfrica, the knowledge and skills that you acquired during that training, help you in working towards a clean environment?
Yeah, the CorpsAfrica Green was so important in that joining efforts within the community members, we collaborated to ensure that we have programs that foster proper environmental initiatives.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, as well, we established tree nurseries. This is knowledge that I gained during one of the trainings I gained from CorpsAfrica.
The pre-service training.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was IST1.
So IST1 is in service training.
Yeah, in service training. We had a chance to visit one of the forestry management farm, and we learned a lot. So when I went back to my community, I was like, yeah, I should apply this to ensure that the community is green. And as well, I created that awareness within the community, telling them, because it's not about just planting the trees. If we plant trees and communities don't know the reason as to why we are planting trees, still tomorrow they won't be there. But then when I tried to show them the importance of having the trees in the community, They bought that. We started nursery beds, and when the trees grew from the nursery beds, they had to plant them in their main garden. And as well in Malawi, I joined. There was an organization operating within the community, and so we collaborated. We joined efforts with the community members, established 3 nursery beds, and do you know what? Just after we had transplanted them from the nursery beds, we joined, the entire community came together. We took them to the nearest primary school. This is a school that had been affected by a windbreak. When the rainy season began, it was really so bad. So the rooftop was blown off. And when the trees grew, the community decided, no, let's join efforts. Then we had another support from DAP. DAP is an institute for teachers that side in Malawi. They joined us, and we planted over 300 trees.
Wow, that's amazing.
Around the school.
The small roads to the wells and all that. What did you do about that?
Yeah, as a volunteer, I realized that that wasn't the way to go, but then I couldn't do it alone. Moreover, I'm just a visitor within the community. So the first thing I did was to mobilize the community. Through discussions in the meetings we had, we are often talking about it. They were like, yeah, but then the wells we have, we need to have boreholes. I asked them questions before we request or we try to find who will support us to have boreholes. Shall we die because of the water that we are using?
Yes.
Yeah. Then they were like, oh, no, that's our point. So we came together, went and cleared up the water sources. Actually, in Leantonde, both the villages, we cleared up 3 water sources.
And how many people are being served by the water sources?
I think both the communities had over 107 households. However, there was a big dam. It's a project that was done by Egyptian government in partnership with the Ugandan government. So that one was also ignored. So we had to, when we mobilized, also I had support from the local authorities, the local government authorities. So we had to mobilize even some other nearby communities, because the issue was always whenever there is a crisis of water, all communities could come to that dam to draw water. But then none was taking care of it. So when time came for clearing it up, community members were like, no, we can't do it alone because we are few. And then we do not only use the water alone, but some other communities join us. So through the local government, we wrote to the leaders of other villages. And when the day came, we joined efforts, and it was really so good.
Wow, that is good. There is something that I'm also, that stands out in your conversations, that clean environment has a lot to do with also clean water. And then there is also need to have better waste management where we separate the synthetic and decomposable. And then also very importantly, the need for communities to appreciate that it takes all of us. Yeah. And I'm also just looking at you, young people that went into the communities. It's like your presence there catalyzed this change. So I can imagine if you did go in those communities, what would have happened?
Sure.
Yeah. So are there any other experiences that you want to share about? For example, using clean energies. Did you also look at issues like that?
Okay. For clean energy, it is something new here in Uganda, maybe, more especially in the rural communities, because people have not yet gone into a lot of clean energy. Because when in Buyikwe, most of the people households, they use firewood. But I remember during my service, I used to visit my next village. That was to my fellow volunteer who was serving next to me. But to my surprise, when I went to that community, I found out that my fellow volunteer was sleeping next to a lady who was cooking using charcoal briquettes. So when I went there and we were just in conversations talking, the lady showed me how she does the charcoal briquettes, how the materials she usually uses to make the charcoal briquettes. So I used to, in CorpsAfrica, I have that positive deviance. Positive deviance is one of the things that we use as volunteers on the ground. Because in the communities, we believe that assets are there.
Tell us about positive deviance.
Yeah, in positive deviance, we actually look at people who have done something that is positive in the community, and we use that same very example to foster change in another community. So like that lady, she has been doing charcoal briquettes for a while. So and no one knew that that lady does the charcoal briquettes. But during my one-on-one interactions and moving around, and I brought that lady to one of the groups, and that group was a group for people with special abilities. I remember one of my pictures I shared with the office when we were taking that picture, and the lady was holding a charcoal briquette. So that lady came and taught that group. After teaching the group, the chairperson of the group actually took on the initiative. He started making the charcoal briquettes and selling them. So it started from someone from the next village that the community never knew that was an asset they had. But through interaction as moving from one community to another as a CorpsAfrica volunteer, they came to appreciate that they had an asset. So I think one of the things that we need to do is to sensitize and also creating that knowledge gap. So it is not that our communities don't have the things, but they have them, but they lack just to know where am I going to get this when I am in need of it. So the major work of CorpsAfrica Volunteer is just to connect. We connect these communities to these assets, just like they are connecting. So it was an impression for me, because no one knew that lady, but she also became popular in the community. So she usually comes to facilitate other groups about charcoal briquette making.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, Brian, do you have anything to add on that as we conclude?
Yes. Actually, towards energy, I also facilitated making of charcoal briquettes with a youth group, and also
With a youth group?
Yeah, actually, I had a youth group here in Uganda. They were so eager to learn. So when I told them, but what can we do about the crisis that is coming upon us? They were like, okay, what can we do? I told them, I have a skill. If you would love to take it in free of charge, I'm here. So they were like, okay, yes, please, you can train us. So I trained them in making the charcoal briquettes. I remember by the time I left the community, even there is someone else in another community who was making chapati, but then he was buying the charcoal briquettes to use them. Yeah, but then listen to what the community says, try to understand it, but as well show them another perspective of how they can overcome a challenge. As well, another group, actually in Malawi, I trained over 78 people in making charcoal briquettes. They were from 2 villages. They came together. They mobilized the resources themselves. My role was just to show them how do we turn these raw materials into charcoal briquettes.
Wow, well done, guys. So as we celebrate the World Cleanup Day, we appreciate the role of the CorpsAfrica volunteers in catalyzing change, in engaging communities, in connecting communities to one another to see that we work towards a clean environment. Initiatives like clean energies that enable people to make good meals, that enable women to cook without having to strain a lot, and using healthy means, initiatives like cleaning water sources to ensure that people have clean water, avoiding diseases, and then also issues of proper waste management have come up and also tree planting. Yes.
Actually, Sylvia, on that, waste management, I remember in Iliantonda, I had to talk to community members about it because Kavera was everywhere you could look. So with that, I taught them how best they can segregate that waste. We dug manure pits around their homes. And as well, I told them, now in manure pits, you can't have a manure pit where you put Kavera because this is something that you're going to carry to your garden. And in case it rains, and water doesn't go down, it means you're not going to have food. It won't grow. So they bought the initiative, and some started putting around sacks to collect this non-biodegradable, and as well have the manure pit for something they can use as fertilizer in their gardens.
Wow, well done on that. Do you have anything to add, Zamil?
Yeah, for Kenya, it has been quite a little different because it was so enjoying. Because when I look at the way the Kenyan communities are, in my community in Meru sub-county, which is the eastern side of Kenya, we had an initiative that was called the Trist Foundation that actually pays people.
Trist?
Trist, it pays people who have trees in form of carbon. So it drives a lot of community members to plant more trees.
Still.
So like you would have community gatherings, people coming to be paid for carbon.
Wow.
Yeah. So it drives, the community was more greener because people were paid for planting trees.
Hey, maybe we also need that. But it takes all of us to ensure that we have a clean environment. And really, really, we appreciate the efforts that CorpsAfrica Volunteers are doing to ensure that we have a clean environment. So as we celebrate the World Cleanup Day, it's our responsibility. It takes all of us to work towards a clean environment. Until next time, this is Conversations with CorpsAfrica Volunteers.